Prince Andrew in talks to leave Royal Lodge as palace pressure mounts. Prince Andrew is reportedly engaged in intense negotiations with the king's representatives over the future of his longtime residence, Royal Lodge, a 30-room mansion on the Windsor estate that he has occupied for more than 2 decades. According to multiple palace sources, discussions have become increasingly urgent as Buckingham Palace seeks to resolve questions surrounding the Duke's living arrangements and finances. The move follows weeks of media scrutiny over his continued residence in the property, which he occupies under what has been described as a cast-iron lease agreement. Daily talks and growing tension. The talks are said to be happening on an almost daily basis, with the palace pressing for a voluntary agreement that would see Andrew move out of Royal Lodge. The prince, however, has resisted calls to vacate the home, citing a 50-year balance remaining on his prepaid lease and the significant personal funds he invested in restoring the property. While he cannot be legally forced out under the current terms, officials are believed to be applying private pressure to persuade him to step aside. The tone of negotiations has reportedly shifted in recent days, with a sense that a resolution and an eventual departure is now inevitable. The main obstacles lie in 2 areas: where Prince Andrew might live next, and how much compensation he should receive for the millions of pounds he has spent maintaining and upgrading the home. Possible new residences. One option under consideration is relocating the Duke to one of King Charles III's privately owned estates, such as Sandringham or Balmoral. There, he could live quietly in one of the smaller properties without drawing on public funds. However, Prince Andrew is said to be reluctant to leave Windsor, where he lives near his daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie. Another potential solution, a smaller home on the Windsor estate, could reduce criticism over his taxpayer-linked living situation, though it would require him to pay rent, which might present financial challenges. Moving him into Windsor Castle or Buckingham Palace is considered politically sensitive, as it could spark public outrage and be viewed as a reward rather than a consequence. The question of compensation. Under the lease signed in 2003, Prince Andrew paid around £1 million upfront for the 75-year agreement and invested over £7.5 million in refurbishments before moving in. If he leaves before next June, he could receive a refund of roughly £557,000, though that amount declines each year until 2028, when it reaches zero. The prince reportedly believes this figure is far too low, arguing that his total outlay, including upkeep, makes it unreasonable for him to depart without additional reimbursement. Any extra payment would likely have to come from the king's private funds, as the Crown Estate is accountable to the Treasury and cannot allocate public money for such settlements. Adding complexity, Sarah Ferguson, Andrew's ex-wife, still resides at Royal Lodge and may also need to relocate if he leaves. The king's determination to move forward. Sources close to the palace say King Charles III is increasingly determined to bring the matter to a close, viewing it as a necessary step toward modernizing the monarchy and reducing ongoing controversies surrounding his brother. The king is also mindful of public sensitivity over royal spending, particularly amid growing interest from Parliament in royal financial transparency. Meanwhile, Prince William has reportedly kept a respectful distance from the issue to avoid straining his relationship with his cousins, Beatrice and Eugenie. Palace officials have reassured both women that their own residences at St. James's Palace and Kensington Palace will not be affected. Another symbolic loss. In a separate but related move, Prince Andrew's personal banner was recently removed from St. George's Chapel at Windsor Castle. The flag was associated with his former membership in the Order of the Garter, which he voluntarily relinquished last week. Together, the loss of his heraldic emblem and the looming departure from Royal Lodge mark a profound transition, signaling that Prince Andrew's role within the royal family, both public and private, has now entered its final chapter.